Gideon judges Israel. Judges 6 through 8. Once again, the children of Israel did evil. God sent them into the hands of the Midianites for 7 years. The Israelites had to live in caves in the mountains. The Midianites destroyed the Israelites' crops and killed their oxen, sheep, and donkeys. The Israelites cried to God for help once more. God sent them a prophet, saying, I brought you out of Egypt and drove the people out of this land for you. I said, I am your God. Do not worship the idols of this land, but you have not listened to me. In Ophrah, Gideon was beating out wheat in the grape press to hide it from the Midianites. An angel came and said, God is with you, you brave and mighty warrior. Gideon answered, Oh, my Lord, if God is with us, why have these troubles come? Where are all the wonderful works he did for our fathers? God has thrown us aside and given us into the hands of Midian. The angel said, Go now, mighty warrior, and save Israel. Have I not given the country of Midian into your hands? Gideon said, How can I save Israel? My family is the poorest in Manasseh, and I am the youngest in the family. God said through the angel, I will be with you. You will strike down Midian. Gideon wasn't sure about this, so he asked for a sign. He prepared goat meat, unleavened bread, and broth, and brought them to the angel. The angel said, Put the meat and bread on a rock, and pour the broth over it. Then the angel touched the food with his staff, and fire came out of the rock and burned up the meat and bread. Then the angel vanished from his sight. Gideon was afraid. God told him, Peace to you. Fear not, you shall not die. So Gideon built an altar there, called Jehovah Shalom, or God is peace. The same night God told Gideon, Take your father's ox and pull down your father's altar to Baal. Cut down the Asherah, a female idol, next to it. Then build me an altar on top of the heap and offer up a second ox, using the wood from the Asherah for the fire. Gideon took 10 of his servant men and did as God said. He did it at night because he was afraid of his father's household and the men of his city. The next morning, the men saw the destroyed idols and demanded, Who did this? When they found out it was Gideon, they told his father, Send him out so we can kill him. His father, Joash, said, Let Baal do his own fighting. So they called Gideon, Jerub-Baal, which means let Baal fight. The Midianites and the Amalekites camped in the valley of Jezreel. God's Spirit came on Gideon. He blew a trumpet and gathered an army of fighting men. Gideon asked God, If you are really going to save Israel through me, please show me a sign. Tonight I will put a fleece of wool on the ground. In the morning, if the ground is dry and there is dew on the fleece only, then I will know you are with me. The next morning, the ground was dry, but Gideon wrung a bowl full of water out of the fleece. Still unsure, Gideon asked for a second sign. This time he asked that the ground be covered with dew and the fleece be dry. God did this for Gideon, just as he had asked, to build his confidence. Gideon camped his army just south of the Midian camp. The Midianites were like locusts, innumerable. God said, Gideon, you have too many soldiers. I do not want Israel to say that they won the battle through the strength of their army. Let anyone who is afraid leave. So 22,000 men left, leaving only 10,000 soldiers. God said, You still have too many soldiers. Take them to some water and watch them drink. If they kneel and put their faces to the water, send them home. If they carry the water to their mouths with their hands and lap like a dog, have them stay. All but 300 men went home. These few took over the tents and trumpets of the other men. God said to Gideon, If you are still afraid to attack, go down to the Midianite camp with your servant Purah and listen. So Gideon and his servant went into the Midianite camp at night. They overheard one soldier telling another, I had a dream, and a loaf of barley bread tumbled into our camp. hit the tent and turned it upside down, so it fell flat. His friend said, "This is the sword of Gideon, a man of Israel. God has delivered all Midian into his hand." Gideon immediately bowed in worship to God, then returned to his army of 300. He said to them, "Arise, for the Lord has given all the army of Midian into your hands." He divided them into 3 groups of 100 men each. Every man held a trumpet and an empty pitcher. In each pitcher they put a torch, hiding the light. Gideon and his army surrounded the Midian camp. When Gideon gave the signal, all 300 smashed their pitchers and held their torches high. They blew their trumpets and stood in place, shouting, "The sword of the Lord and of Gideon!" The Midianites woke up, thought they were being attacked by a huge army, and started killing each other. They fled, still fighting each other, and were cut off by the soldiers of Ephraim, whom Gideon had called upon to stop the Midianites at the river crossings. The Israelites wanted to make Gideon a king after his great victories, but he said, "I will not rule over you, neither shall my son. God will rule over you." The land had rest for 40 years with Gideon, but as soon as Gideon died, Israel made the idol Baal-berith their god. They did not remember God, who had saved them, nor did they show kindness to the house of Gideon, forgetting all the good that he had done for Israel.